Hey everyone, thanks for joining me. I'm Rick, and today we're talking about an amplifier. But this isn't just a regular amplifier, this is a subwoofer specific amplifier. This is a Douk BSA 600, and I'd like to thank Douk Audio for sending over a sample for review. So let's go ahead and take a look at the unit. On the front side, starting from the left, we have our toggle switches, and this first toggle switches between mono mode or stereo mode. And the toggles feel really nice, I really like them. The next one is our auto on. If you have it switched to the up position, when the amplifier picks up a signal coming in, it will automatically turn on, and after 10 minutes of no signal, it shuts off and it's only consuming about half a watt of power at that point. Or if you want to have it on yourself, just leave it on the on position there, and at that point you'll use the back rocker to power the unit on or off. And as you see, you have a red power indicator. It's solid when the unit is on, and when the unit is on standby, when you have it set to auto, the volume screen shuts down and the red LED has a little breathing effect. Next, our volume screen. I personally think it's a little large and it cannot be defeated. I wish it could be turned off. I couldn't find a way. And then onto our knobs. The first one is an encoder. So this one will adjust your volume up and down, and a press in to get you into mute. Next, our frequency, and this is a subwoofer or bass shaker amplifier only. You can adjust the frequency from 50 Hertz up to 200 Hertz. This amplifier will not output a signal over 200 Hertz. And the frequency potentiometer does have little indents so you can feel where you're at. And finally, our balance potentiometer. This one is smooth all the way around except for an indent in the center. We'll take a look at the sides. Very nice venting on the side. Onto the rear. Again, from the left, we have our line level input and we have a line level output. Now this output is a pre-out, so whatever signal comes in here is going to go out to here. So what you can do here is you can input from your preamp. This output can go over to a power amplifier to go full bandwidth into your main speakers, and this guy can handle the low frequencies only. And when you bring the volume up and down on your preamplifier, your power amplifier and your subwoofer amplifier will go up and down at the same time. They did add a 5 volt, 1 amp USB-A port for convenience, and that is strictly to power another device, which is very nice of them. Onto the binding posts, and these are full-size binding posts. You have one set of rights, one set of lefts for when you're in stereo mode, and if you're going to be in mono mode, you'll use the top two, followed by your IEC inlet and a very nice power rocker. You also have a fuse in between. Very nice build quality. I really do like it. One thing that I did skip over on the front panel is this USB-C port, and I'll tell you what that's for in just a second, but let me tell you what comes in the box. You get the amplifier, you get the power cable, you get these steel mounts that screw on to the side here with the screws included as well, and this allows you to mount this under a desk, under a couch, in a cabinet, or wherever you like. Then you have this 16-foot USB-C cable. What this is used for is for the included encoder, and this encoder is your remote control. Now it isn't a wireless remote control, but it's a remote nonetheless. With a press, you'll turn the unit on, and then we can bring the volume down and up with the encoder and pause with a press. And it's built really nice, all aluminum, very cool encoder. You do get a couple more accessories with that. You get this little sticker pad that has this texture rubberized, so you can stick that at the bottom so it doesn't move, or if you're going to permanently mount, you get a couple of double-sided tapes as well. So very well thought out. So with this in mind, I get a little more understanding of what they were really trying to accomplish with this amplifier. The BSA 600 uses a Texas Instrument 3255 chip, so currently a pretty common chip, and everybody knows at this point that it performs excellent for its price point. All the op amps are surface mount and they're N3255s. This amplifier is capable of producing 115 watts at 4 ohms times 2, or 230 watts when bridged at 2 ohms, which opens you up to a larger selection of drivers if you're building your own DIY subwoofer. When I saw this product online, I thought it was going to be quite a bit smaller, closer to a Fuzzy ZA3. But when I received the unit, I was surprised to see it's quite a bit larger. So I decided to open the amplifier up to see if I was going to have a tiny amplifier board, along with a tiny power supply and a bunch of extra space. But to my surprise, that's not what I saw in here. So let's take a look on the inside. Here's where I was impressed. On the left side, a high quality power supply. It's a switching power supply at 48 volts, so there's no need to upgrade this, as the TPA chip can handle up to 48 volts, and this one's coming in at 5.77 amps, so plenty of amperage right there as well. Very cleanly laid out, nice power connectors. Then over to the amp section, over here we have all Rubicon capacitors, and some Sumida inductors in the back. A massive heatsink. Here we can see our encoder and our 2 potentiometers. The one thing that I do wish they would have done is the screws that hold the binding posts down are steel, and I tested those with a magnet. I wish they would have used brass nuts there, but not a big deal. Now on this unit, no swappable op amps anywhere. But again, remember, this is a dedicated subwoofer amplifier, so it's only handling under 200 Hertz. I don't think most people would want to swap out op amps if you're just handling under 200 Hertz. And after having opened up quite a few units, I will tell you that I can clearly see how these companies are advancing in their technologies and their design, because this is a beautifully laid out board here. Everything is super clean. All the solder points are very nicely done. Nothing sloppy at all. It just looks very high quality. So very well designed. I think Douk Audio really put a lot of thought behind the design of this amplifier. That being said, it's not for everybody. Not everybody has the need for a dedicated subwoofer amplifier. This one also has dual purposes. I think it's mostly geared towards the enthusiast gamer, as they really market this unit to be used with bass shaker transducers. Here are a couple that you can see at Parts Express. They have some starting at fairly low prices with 35 watt power handling, up to larger ones that can handle up to 300 watts. The BSA 600 can handle a pair of those under a couch using left and right, or a single one on mono under a gaming chair. And here's a picture of one on Parts Express's website that shows you how it mounts under a chair. And that's going to give you that additional rumble to get you in the movie or in the game. How I tested this unit was I was sending signal from my Cambridge 851N streamer over to an SMSL Raw MDA1 DAC, to my Jungsong JA1 preamp, to my Iota VX PA3 power amp. Now that power amp has a set of RCA full bandwidth pre-outs that then feed into the BSA 600. And from here, I connected it over to my subwoofer in mono for a very nice pairing. And this amp gave me a little more impact than the Aiyima B07. However, that amp has two 3255 chips, one for the sub out and the other for the left and right channels. So you do get a little more usability out of the B07, but if I was a super bass head, I'd have two of those DIY subs and I'd have this in stereo mode, pushing dual subs that way. Since my main speakers go down to around 30 Hz, I set the crossover on the BSA 600 at 50 Hz. And since the sensitivity on my subwoofer is quite a bit lower than on my mains, I did have to crank the volume all the way up to 60. But just like the B07, the BSA 600 blended in perfectly with my system. I really couldn't tell that there was an additional sub anywhere in the room. It just filled in that last octave. I highly recommend this unit. It is out of stock currently on Amazon, but check back to see if they'll have it back in stock. You can also buy it directly from Douk, but I think because of the shipping situation, they do charge you a little more on Douk's website for this unit. But I check both sites if you're interested in a unit like this. Very cool amplifier. I really dig it. I am going to be sad to see this one go back. If you guys do decide to get a unit like this for a passive subwoofer, please do let me know. I would like to know how many people really are interested in passive subwoofers. One thing that I can tell you about a passive subwoofer, although you don't see them very often anymore, the performance you get dollar for dollar is amazing on a DIY sub. That little DIY sub build that I have that came in at around $200 cost is gonna blow away anything from Sony, from Polk, from any of the main guys when spending probably up to $600 or $700. When you see what you really get, if you look inside of something in the $300 range on subwoofer, you'll see the woofer itself far inferior to this Dayton Audio one. And you'll also see that the built-in amplifier is gonna be super highly rated. They're gonna say something like 300, 400 watts when you're really getting closer to 35 to 50 watts. And that being said, I think Douk did an awesome job this time at being super transparent about the real numbers that you can expect from this unit. 115 watts times 2 is very realistic, and that 230 watts on bridge is also very doable out of this chip with that 48 volt power supply. And I'm happy to see that they did add in the maximum one that you would use with that chip. So great job on this one, Douk. I hope to see more products like it. I only wish that the screen could have been defeated, but if you are going to mount it under somewhere to hide it, it's not a big deal. To tell you the truth, if I were to purchase this unit for myself, I think I would just use those brackets and mount it on the back of my sub and keep those speaker cables as short as possible. And that's all I have for this one, guys. Highly recommended if you're looking for a subwoofer amplifier. If you have any questions, please leave them below. And if you haven't, please give me a subscribe and a like. I'd really appreciate it. It will help the channel grow. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you on the next one.